Best of r/Tales from Tech Support Episode 5. This is a story from a few years back while I was working overnight support for a hospital that was going live on a new medical record system. The night was pretty slow and I was perusing the issue ticket system and stumbled upon something gold. Ticket title: There's a ghost in the computer. Issue description: the computer is possessed. It's typing cryptic messages without anyone using the keyboard. The words are nonsense. I think it's speaking in tongues. Given the slow night, I was more than happy to check out the demonically possessed computer in person. I grabbed my crucifix and holy water and ventured out of the IT department to the hospital floor. Upon arrival, the nurses directed me to the unholy workstation. True to form, the computer was writing on its own. Shagfet, clean. Beep. Problem. The nurse turned to me with contented validation that her ticket was accurate. The computer was really speaking in tongues. I smiled back and saw the issue immediately, but decided to have a little fun. Don't worry ma'am, I ain't afraid of no ghost. I reached around to the back of the workstation and unplugged the dictation microphone that some physician had left on. With that, the computer stopped documenting random ambient noise as text and went back to functioning normally. Demon exorcised. I headed back to my IT basement to await more devils to slay. Thank you. Next. At $hospital, we used well-known brand printers and they were deplorable. Sue had one of these printers. She printed a lot and used a lot of specialty paper. After she started having printer issues, I did some research. Her printer was advertised as commercial grade, specifically rated for ultra heavy paper and 250k pages per month. I quickly realized that the specs were fantasy. Toner cartridges that were rated at 3k prints lasted more like 900 pages, and 10k pages per month was enough to bring it to its knees. We had the printer techs on speed dial. When she called, it was just hey, tell Bacon it's doing it again, and I'd wheel the spare printer into her office. Sometimes, $printer co wouldn't send a tech. It was a real bad day when I had to steal all the toner and the fuser out of the spare printer, and those lasted 2 days. The CIO shat bricks when it became clear that we really couldn't do anything. Sue's issues were compounded by a lack of toner. $printer co supplied everyone a set amount of toner. Sometimes it showed up, sometimes it didn't, so we were always in need, and it frequently became a big deal political situation when people ran out. After months of this, we'd had it. We emailed $printer rep asking for an adequate supply of toner and help for Sue. Nothing happened until our CIO insisted he pay us a visit. My conversation with him was unproductive, so I took him to Sue's office. Perhaps a demonstration would change his mind. Yeah, you receive toner every 30 days, he said. I pulled the most recent toner out of Sue's filing cabinet. The shipping label on it was dated 42 days ago. When I pointed this out to him, he said yeah, every 30 days. No matter what I said, he refused to admit that 42 equals 30, so I dropped it. By then, our printer contract was up and $corporate was pushing $odd brand printers, so we dropped well-known printer co like a bad habit. Sue got a small $odd brand MFP. It worked great until it wouldn't recognize the paper type and would only print if you pressed OK before every page. We changed the paper settings with no luck. Then it started eating fusers every 2 weeks. Changed the print settings to slow the registration and lower the fuser temp, but it didn't help much. Then it started spitting out unknown paper size every time she tried to print on heavy paper. To top it off, it just started printing nonsense on her $3/sheet specialty label paper. Worked fine on plain paper though. After being thoroughly disgusted by $old printer co, I had high hopes for $new printer co, but I was losing hope as Sue's new printer never failed to fail. At least now we had toner. After a while, new printer tech and I were obsessed with solving it. Sometimes, he would stop by on his own time and try something new on Sue's printer. She was grateful that someone was trying, but we weren't getting anywhere. One of his theories was that this printer just couldn't cope with this paper. It made sense because it was stupid heavy label stock, but we couldn't do anything about it. See, Sue's printer was used for label printing, which ran on its own print server, and $printer lady refused to add another model to the server. Also, Sue's boss wasn't happy that Sue's printer was wasting a lot of $3/sheet labels. We were catching flack from all sides, and I wasn't loving it. One day $new printer tech came up with a bizarre theory. With nothing to lose, we tried it and quickly found out he was right. What was the issue? Healthcare paper is pre-punched for charting clipboards. 3 holes across the top. As a print job started, the paper passed an optical sensor that detected the edge of the paper. When it hit the holes, it went nuts. The solution? Have $printer lady rotate the print job 180 so the paper could be loaded with the holes facing the other side. That way, the sensor hit the holes last. We tried it by loading the paper backwards, and it worked perfectly, but it was unusable since it printed upside down and out of its boundaries. Getting it fixed was an exercise in absurdity. At first, $printer lady refused. She was convinced that new printer tech was just a dumb repairman who couldn't possibly know anything about print servers. Eventually, she caved in and changed the print job template. After that, Sue's printer still ate fuses for lunch. After another tantrum from $printer lady, someone finally convinced her that a small MFP really wasn't suited for the job. $printer lady set up a networked copier for Sue and she literally never had another printer problem. I always felt a little funny walking past Sue's office, instead of making my daily visit to disassemble her printer and have a nice long chat. Sue was awesome. As for Sue's new copier, Sue's boss initially refused to buy one, so at $printer lady's insistence, we borrowed it from the air. It was a fun day when they finally noticed. Thank you. Next. So this happened yesterday. I am a system admin who works with private cloud infrastructure. I do everything from VMware, storage, servers to Windows. For this tale, me, DBA equals database administrator. I build a Windows VM with the required specifications and then I send an email to the $DBA to install Oracle on it. TBH me and $DBA were totally confused because we had a flurry of requests come in for Windows and DB. So it's easy to get confused when all of them are urgent and want their work to be done first. Consequence of this is I sent $DBA the wrong credentials. Following happened after that. $DBA, bro, the credentials are not working. Me, you might be trying to log in via domain login. Try giving /administrator and pass. $DBA, no bro, it's still not working. Me, in mind, well okay, try giving IP instead of $DBA, no bro, still not working. Me, $DBA, let me send you a screenshot. Sends me a screenshot of username entered as IP/admin instead of entering the IP address. I was on the floor, laughing hysterically. My cube neighbors came to my desk, saw the screenshot and asked me what happened. Then joined me on the floor. Thank you. Next. One of our clients called this morning and said their VPN hasn't worked since last night. I gave it a try and it indeed didn't work. I figured the Dines has balked, so I had him give me their external IP and try to connect again. Nope. Also, it matched what they should have right now. HMH. Something was being screwy, but they had internet and only connect on evenings and went away on meetings and such, so it wasn't instantly critical, so I said it'd be over after lunch. After lunch, I headed over there and took a look. I could access the interface, so that's not acting up. The hell? Everything looked good. I activated ping response and tried to ping it externally from my phone. Ping pong. Answer. Try to connect again. Fail. Check the log. No sign of the VPN trying to connect at all. Now I was in what in the mode and disable the security rules to check if there is anything there that was fucking with it. No answer at all. No connection. Not even a log. So I called up the ISP, and as this is a business connection, I got connected to support instantly. $ISP. That's odd. I can also ping it and I see it on our end. Which port does your VPN use? $DRaiden. It's an SSL VPN, so 443 is standard. $ISP. Oh, that explains it. $infrastructure, a vendor we use for our entire network, reserve port 22 and 443 for their own equipment. They highly recommend you don't use those as it might not work. $DRaiden is lost for words for several seconds. This is a business connection. $ISP. Yes. If you change port for your VPN, then it should connect. $D Raiden. Yes. Yes it would. And it did. Half of our customers use $ISP. Luckily, none of them host a website locally. Sometimes, I can just even edit. This is not a small ISP either. They are one of the larger ones in the country. Thank you. Next. 5 years ago. $me. Obvious. $poses. Self-explanatory later on. $pay. Engineer from the $poses manufacturer. $TP. Ticket printer. So, we have had one of the front desk computers at the municipality crash out. This is not fun. There's a lot of cruddy software installed, none of which has been documented properly, most of which will be pure guesswork to restore. One piece of software, $pose, is particularly stubborn. It does seem to detect the ticket printer but refuses to talk to it when asked. After some fruitless searching for information/documentation, we finally call the manufacturer of $poses and they agree to send in an engineer. $me. Okay, here's the machine. I know I have done something wrong. I hope you can tell me where I went off. $pay. Wrong version of Opus. It's understandable you wanted to use the latest version, but that's not going to work, alas. $pay starts uninstalling/installing the right version and configuring. $pay. We should be good to go. $me whips out test documentation, written together with the key user on one of the still working front desk machines. $TP. KRRRTZT. $me. So, I have made a test transaction. Now we do another one to make sure all is okay. $poses crash. $pay. That is odd. Not what I expected or wanted to hear. $me. At least we got it to print once. Let's see if we can find anything has changed on the system. $me starts Procman. $me. Let's see what it does. $poses crash. Checking what has been touching the system and where, I notice quite a few normal things, except one file, an ini file in the C/Windows folder. Stuff is being written in there, even though I only perform a transaction. No configuration of any sorts. $me. What is in there? $pay. Nothing. At least, it should be empty. Otherwise $poses can react unpredictable. $me opens file. Notices some parameters have been spewed in. No structure to be seen. $me. I see. So this is not good. Right, let's clean it out and test again. Maybe this was a leftover from the other Opus version. $TP. KRRRTZT. $me. And another one. $poses crash. $me. Okay, that really needs to be empty. Let's clean it out and make it read only. $poses. Cannot write file. $poses crash. $me. NSFW. $pay. Also, NSFW. $me. It wants to write stuff in there but needs not to read anything back. Brilliant idea. $me deletes file named config. ini. Creates a folder named config. ini. $TP. KRRRTZT. $me. Once more. $TP. KRRRTZT. $pay. Even more. NSFW. $me. Make sure to update your documentation on that one. $pay. I owe you some beers. On the company tab. PL. Dr. $poses causes configuration location needing to have an identity crisis. PS. $poses equals pose software. I leave it to your creativity what pose stands for. Thank you. Next. At a firm I work for, our intranet was last reworked in 2013, back in the times when you could embed a Google search bar within your intranet sites. It was so outdated that it had the old Google branding. Nonetheless, we upgraded to SharePoint yesterday at 3 p.m. At first we were confused because we were getting calls on the service desk of people frantically stating, "I can't access the internet, my browser has stopped working, how am I meant to search for something?" Then it dawned on us that our users relied so heavily on the embedded Google search, which is now removed, that they didn't know how to use the address bar. We've had to resort to sending out a QRG on how to use the address bar in various web browsers to stop the influx of calls on the service desk. Thank you. Next. Once again your favorite humble IT deity is back with another fantastic tale of thrills, chills, and technolist. TLDR, a leaked gal results in a door being kicked in and a mouthy lead being shown the door. Back in the halcyon days of 2009 when the holy HD format war age lines were drawn in my department, the depraved and washed lovers of the inferior Blu-ray format on one side and the righteous protectors of true HD DVD, on the other, we fought many a battle on vast email chains, with such terrible weapons as storage capacity, refresh rates, and the terrible compression algorithm. When I close my eyes I can still hear the crying of the mathematicians. One day, the money-controlling sheep, Reed, management, grew tired of seeing our battles and told us to wage a shadow war from then on. Our public battlefields grew silent as we waged proxy wars in the shadows. Reed, they made us just stick everything in distribution groups so we didn't break their Outlook rules. One day, as I was preparing for that day's quiet terror by reciting the holy edicts of HD DVD, something strange entered my mailbox. An unsolicited email. Normally this is nothing unexpected, but this one should never have existed, as it was in the folder for our holy format war. This address had never left our company and was only used internally. An interloper. Immediately I contacted the other heads of the 5 families, the network lead, the dev lead, the storage lead, the test/QA lead. As had the Greeks when approached by the Persians, we too put aside our differences at the approach over an invader. Myself and the network lead quickly came up with a threat model and surmised that it was malware attacking address books and not someone wanting play in our reindeer games. The QA/test and dev leads noted that the game's testers weren't part of the corporate malware solution as it was not allowed per contract with game studios as it could release IP back to the AV vendors. We quickly tried to request span ports on the traffic but the network lead laughed and spoke the truth of ASICs upon us. He said that despite the USA 525 just having a PI 233 and 8 MB of RAM, it would be vastly more capable than our paltry P4 with 8 GB of RAM. We laughed and ignored him, and we didn't just eat crow at our hubris, we ate the tree the crow lived in. The Wireless Shark host, my new shiny laptop, that was never quite the same after this. No matter the settings kept crashing from the torrent of traffic. The network stack just couldn't handle the full load. Then I had an idea. What if I just grabbed the traffic from one room at a time? I might miss something, but I had better odds than if I did nothing. I knew which on my labs had the most problem children. Those who took advantage of fat 1GB/s pipes and lax oversight. With my target chosen, I added a new hidden DG with a random name. If my guess was right, it would leave the lab, and if I find anything going to any place other than usual locations in Europe, India, and the US, then I knew something was afoot with my group name in it. Yes, I knew it could have been worse, and someone proxying through another compromised machine and the C2 channel and data could have been encrypted, but before I went looking for someone on that scale I was trying for simple stuff first. Almost immediately after sifting through about 40 GB of traffic I found some odd patterns. One machine going to a server in China daily at the same time. I found the IP and then checked the ARP table for where it was. My problem child lab. We had a playbook for this. Enter the room. Physically take the machine without giving the employee a chance to do anything, and when no intentional wrongdoing was suspected, issue a new machine and not have security escort them out. I had my favorite help desk minion come with me and trace down the port to a game tester, and then when he was there we walked up. Told him the machine was compromised and took it. I had my minion give him a new machine. When an IT deity takes note of you because of work you've caused them, a certain amount of obeisance is expected. Clearly his lead was never told that as she came pounding on the door and ran into the room spitting acid and nearly climbing the walls like a bitchy xenomorph. She ran into the room with myself, the head of our legal team and CEO, discussing possible liability and multi-million-dollar contractual obligated fines. Not recognizing who was in the room, then proceeds to say that she authorized that employee to do that and that we should have checked with her before messing with her computers and stuff. As a new lead was sent upstairs with a box to clean out her desk, the word was out. If the lords of data and compute want your machine, just let it go. As to the corporate legend, about a year later I was in the break room and overheard a game tester tell another one, "Did you hear that IT kicked in the door and ripped out this guy's machine? He was trying to hack something and the lead knew about it and got fired when she went to complain."